Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for a short prayer? Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Commander Kelly, if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order. On.
Jessica, statement of publication.
Take notice that this regular agenda meeting of the mayor and borough council being held on this 15th day of July, 2024 has been posted and advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Balca.
Here.
Polisi. Manoha.
Here.
Roberts. Snarsky.
Here.
Skrowski.
Roll call.
Need approval of prior minutes.
Beg your pardon.
Approval of prior minutes.
Approval of, no,
I did roll call.
you did wrong, sorry. Approval of prior minutes, Council President.
Move the following minutes of the mayor and council be approved on roll call vote, subject to correction if necessary. That would be the minutes from June 17th, regular and agenda session.
Second.
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balca.
Yes.
Polisi.
Yes.
Manoha.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Dabrowski.
I'm going to go right to the ordinance for the veterans. I beg your pardon? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, out of respect for our veterans, I'm going to move I'm going to jump around a little bit tonight. And our next order of business will be ordinance 31-24. Jessica, if you would.
Ordinance, public hearing on ordinance number 31-24, Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex, and ordinance establishing the flag display policy for the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey.
At this time, I'm going to open the public portion for any comments on this ordinance. Are there any comments? Stanley?
Stanley Draw, 121 Bezette Street. I just wanted to cover the letter that the veterans sent a few years ago, because at the last meeting, there was some, can you hear me? There was some discussion that this was something that had been brought up and concocted at the last minute between the veterans and residents, which is untrue. I just want to read some of this letter for the record. It was sent 2 years ago, approximately August 22nd, 2022. I'll get to the key parts. The members of Saraville VFW Post respectfully request the Borough Council refrain from the practice of flying various flags or banners from any public building or flagpole within the borough other than the national, state, and borough flag or the POW flag. There are countless flags and banners that could be flown by various groups, political movements, religions, and other organizations. The borough should not open itself up to scrutiny and possible legal action by aligning itself with certain groups or against certain groups. In the past, the borough has recognized various groups through proclamations at borough meetings, and this practice should continue instead of the divisive practice of flying flags other than the U.S. or other government entities. As far as we know, there was no law in the borough of Saraville restricting anyone from flying any flag or banner on their own property, nor should there be one. The right to fly any flag on your own property should be respected. However, when public buildings and property are concerned, the situation is different. Will only flags that are deemed correct be flown? Will only flags of groups who can amass large crowds to demand it to be flown? This is a process fraught with problems and lends itself to conflict and disunity. The members of the veterans organizations have fought and served to protect the rights of all citizens to be treated equally under the law. They did this with a diverse group of Americans flying under one flag, the U.S. flag. Should the borough start taking sides as to who can or cannot fly a flag, it will only divide the public and destroy the unity of our people. That's the actual letter, and it was sent 2 years ago to clarify it. And the last thing I'll say is, me personally, I am very concerned about these types of programs of flying banners and flags, because I lived as a peacekeeper in a nation that was divided and split into a civil war of various groups, and I never wanted to see that ever happen to my own country. If you've never been in other parts of the world and seen what happens, you'll never forget it. So I asked the Borough Council to go along with the policy and only fly the U.S., state, and POW flag in the future from any borough property. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor. Jim Robinson, President of the Borough. The letter, I have great respect for Stanley Drawl, as you know, been friends for a very long time. The letter he just read talked about the borough flag. The ordinance that you're introducing doesn't allow the borough flag to be flown there. I know there was some confusion. Last meeting, you said there was no borough flag, and it was pointed out that's different than the current borough flag, but the borough flag is out there now. If this ordinance passes, which I assume it will that flag have to be taken down, and will the borough flag not be allowed to be flown in front of the Borough Hall?
I'll confer with the Veterans Alliance.
Well,
Not right
veterans sent you
now.
a letter, and they talked about the borough flag.
Not right now.
And this was mentioned at the last meeting as well. And the ordinance could have been changed to accommodate what the veterans had spoken about.
Anything else, Jim?
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Yes.
Anthony Sposano, 54 Washington Road. I start again by appreciating and acknowledging the service of the people in the room. Mayor and council, I have just a few questions for you. I understand it is your stated right not to answer questions. I would encourage us to have a conversation in good faith. Mayor, I'd asked to meet with you privately. You had declined. I'm happy to do it in the public eye. I'm sorry?
I can't hear you, Anthony.
Oh, the first time I've ever asked to be a little louder. I had asked to meet with you privately. You had declined several times.
Zach called you back
I-
several times to set something up.
Zach said that you would not meet with me because of your busy schedule, but he was happy to meet with me on your behalf. Regardless, I'll reclaim my time. My question is, does the borough own the flagpole in the corner that we had previously discussed?
I don't know.
You don't know if the borough owns that flagpole?
Which flagpole?
The flagpole that the pride flag was flying on last month?
Yeah,
And you had stated that you did not want to be in the flag flying business, correct?
I think it's problematic.
Sure. Can I ask you why you enacted a policy that the borough
No.
council would have? Okay, I'll ask the council why they
No,
enacted
you're
a
not
policy.
allowed to. All questions come to me.
Oh, sure. I'll ask generally to anyone that would like to answer in a seat of elected office, why you, Mayor, enacted a policy that the borough would have to individually approve every flag that applied to be flown on the flagpole that the borough owns, yet publicly and to the press, you stated that you did not want to get into the flag flying business. Saying you don't want to get into the flag flying business appeals to these folks who have served our country, but it's not true. It is not what you did behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, you and your, I don't know the title of Zach, if he's a keyboard holder or a chief of staff, whatever his role is, you created a policy where everyone in this room has to vote on every single application. If a Nazi would like to fly a Nazi flag, you have to vote on that because of the decisions that you made behind the scenes. Is that true?
No, these people vote the way they want to vote because
I'm asking
I
you if
only
you
vote in the event of
created
a tie.
policy. I'm asking you if you created a policy
I put together.
that requires this borough
Anthony, do you
council.
want, okay,
I'm
Anthony,
asking you a
make
question.
your
I would like the
comments
courtesy
and then
of
we'll
finishing my question.
conclude it from there because you're not looking for answers.
No, I've
So
actually-
Make
I've-
your comments and then we'll move forward.
I've cut a vacation short to fly home, specifically to engage in a conversation that you refused to engage with. What I'm asking is why you would put this borough council in a position to face litigation for voting against specific flags or for specific flags. Council President Roberts, years back, that was your biggest concern, and you talked to our attorney and said, I am concerned about litigation against the borough that we are opening ourselves up to by not having a policy. That problem has been expanded, not minimized, because of the decisions of Mayor O'Brien. I need you to consider that you are opening up the borough to litigation. That being said, I have come tonight to express my support for the ordinance because I support the men and women who I have heard from in our community that talked about the importance of the American flag. So I am not going to oppose the ordinance tonight. What I would like to do is engage in a good faith conversation with members of this council who are willing and able to find a suitable location. Mayor, may I have 30 seconds?
Wrap it up.
Thank you. I have the clock in front of me. What I'm asking for is a person on this council who would like to engage in a conversation about situating a community flagpole in a place where it can be seen for those folks whose policy you created to apply to fly their flags. That includes a military appreciation flag in the month of May. I have asked publicly for you to proclaim
Anthony,
May Military
thank you for your
Appreciation Month.
comments. I asked you to conclude it and not to continue it. So
Sure, I
thank you.
thought this was sort of a living
Yeah,
document where we
Thank
could
you.
engage
Thank
in
you for
further
your
conversation if
comments.
you asked.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other comments? Ken?
Mayor and Council, good evening. I'd like to quote a United States Supreme Court case. The court cited approvingly the flag policy adopted by San Jose, California. The court liked that the San Jose policy includes language stating that San Jose's flagpoles are not intended to serve as a forum for free expression by the public, and limited its approval of flags flown to those that constitute an expression of the city's official sentiments. The court's quasi-endorsement of San Jose's policy strongly suggests that local flag policies with these features would qualify as government speech, allowing a city to permit or reject flying of a flag consistent with its policies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Are there any other comments? Being no other comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Balca,
Yes.
Polisi,
Yes.
Minoha.
Before I vote, I do want to add a comment if possible, even to the different, folks advocating for and against. I do want to express, as one of the members of council who was around under the previous administration that had allowed this to take place under the previous resolution, I think the essence that we tried to capture was to speak towards what many of our veterans are speaking towards, which is putting out a message of equality, right? That's what many of you had fought for. And I think as government officials, that was what we wanted to extend, especially to unique demographics that felt as though they weren't really being seen or they had fears that if they were to run into challenges, they wouldn't be attended to equally like other demographics. So, as folks who represented the government as at that time, we wanted to give a proper message to them. And I think that the signal of that was the flag. And just to let them know that the things that the veterans had fought for, the equality, was going to be extended to them as well. It seems as though we weren't able to achieve that, but I just want to express that I believe at the time that was the essence we wanted to capture and not for it to be divisive in any way. Hopefully we can continue to have that in an open dialogue. I don't think this legislation really allows us to do so. So that's the reason why I'm voting no. Thank you.
Yes.
Sinarski,
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Okay, with that, we're going to go into closed session for litigation and personnel. On behalf of a very grateful borough, I would like to thank our veterans for coming out tonight. Number one. Number two, I want to express our sincerest gratitude and feeling of humility and honor that you chose Sayreville to live in and that you defended our gates of freedom. So veterans, we salute you, we thank you, and we wish you a good evening. Wait for them to exit.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public portion of this meeting is hereby adjourned in order that the governing body may meet in closed private session
Everyone,
for approximately 15 minutes
we're just trying to conduct some business
to
here.
discuss the following matters: litigation. Following the conclusion of said closed session, the governing body shall reconvene the open portion of this public meeting to consider any other matters which may be properly brought before it at this time. The nature and content of the discussion which occurs in closed session shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, because we did personnel the other.
Roll call?
Who did second? Okay, sorry. Roberts,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Polisi. Yes. Anoha.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski. To reconvene.
I make a motion to reconvene?
Second.
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Malka.
Yes.
Palisi.
Yes.
Noha. Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski. Okay, we'll finish the public hearing on ordinance number 32-24, an ordinance to supplement Chapter 26 of the Municipal Code entitled Land Development to make modifications pursuant to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Model Stormwater Control Ordinance.
At this time, I'm going to open a public portion for comments on ordinance 3224. Are there any comments? Being no comments, I'll entertain a motion. Councilman Clacy.
I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading, and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Khaleesi.
Yes.
Malka.
Yes.
Enoha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski. Public hearing on ordinance number 33-24, ordinance of the Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, New Jersey, authorizing the execution of a financial agreement by and between the borough and 1970 New Jersey Route 35 Urban Renewal LLC pursuant to the long-term tax exemption law, NJSA 40A 20-1 et sec.
This time, I'm going to open up ordinance 33-24 for public comment. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Tim Arch. I'm an attorney with Bob Smith and Associates, and I actually represent 1970 New Jersey Route 35 Urban Renewal LLC. Thank you for inviting me here to make a brief presentation as to the necessity of this pilot. You may know this current property. It's a former nightclub property with a storied history in Sayreville. My understanding is there's been past noise complaints, complaints of gunshots, and the borough rightly concluded it was an area in need of rehabilitation in 2022. Our project, which has already been approved by the planning board almost exactly a year ago, was approved by the planning board, is to utilize the property as a self-storage facility, which is historically low impact, low traffic, low noise generating, and which benefits the surrounding residences. It also provides additional access and parking for the Morgan Rescue Squad, which is adjacent to it. So we actually entered into an easement agreement with them to allow them to utilize some of the parking, the proposed parking on the site. Quite frankly, this project is not viable without the use of the long-term tax exemption program. It was always anticipated that a pilot agreement would be sought throughout the process with both Sarah and the borough. We've actually negotiated with not one but two independent financial advisory firms. I believe the first was Northwestern and the second was Phoenix. And I believe the council had a presentation from your financial advisors a little while ago. So I don't want to get into the generalities of pilots because I believe everybody is aware of those. But those terms, we went through a very, very lengthy negotiation process with the borough's financial professionals, and they were able to derive even more benefit for the borough. And quite frankly, it's really not hyperbole to say that without this pilot agreement, the project is not going to move forward. I mean, we got our approvals a year ago. We have not conducted construction yet. This is a pivotal point for us moving forward. I did bring two other individuals with me, and I'll defer to the council if they would like to hear from them. One is Thomas Zukowski. He's from Dynamic Engineering. He can speak about some of the specific challenges with the site and show you essentially what the approved project is going to look like. And so if anybody has any specific questions about that. I also have Mike Cacavelli, who is our financial advisor, who actually engaged with the negotiations with Phoenix. So if there's any specific questions as to the specific terms in the pilot, he can certainly address those, but I don't want to take up the entirety
Yeah,
of.
there may be, and if so, I'll call him forward.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other, Jim?
Thank you, Mayor. Luke Robinson and Parlin. This, as the attorney said, is another pilot for a self-storage facility, the one on Route 35. We all know the reason for pilots. They are for economic development. Maybe the attorney can tell us how many full-time jobs will be created by this self-storage facility. Will it be 3, 4, less? Will there be union employees? A little while ago, Mayor, you had somebody come up and talk about the value of pilots and how they benefit units. Will there unions? Will there be union employees here? Will there be a requirement that employees here be bilingual in Mandarin, like the requirement for the last group that you gave a pilot to, the warehouses on Cheesequake Road? You know, a very distinguished gentleman who was here with the veterans a few minutes ago, a career service veteran who I have great respect for, who knows what he's talking about when it comes to these things, expressed some concern about this very item. He said, massive numbers of Chinese have come in illegally in the past 2 years, all of which were vetted by the Chinese Communist Party, or they would never have been allowed to leave. They are mainly military or Chinese operatives who will work for low pay because they or their families back home will be rewarded. The warehouse jobs are simply a cover. That's what he said about one facility that got a pilot. I sell commercial real estate, as you know, Mayor. I have developed self-storage units. They don't need pilots to be viable. They don't need pilots to be viable. And if we're going to give a pilot to every business that isn't viable otherwise, that is a very low bar. And all of the things that the gentleman talked about can be accomplished without a pilot. There's a business there now, not the best business, not a welcome business, not a business we want there, but all up and down Route 35 are very viable, successful businesses that don't have pilots. These pilots are cheating the taxpayers, they're cheating the students, and because of a secret campaign fund, we'll never know who else is benefiting by them. I urge you to reject this pilot and use pilots only when it is necessary for true economic development and fulfills the intended purpose of the statute. Thank you very much.
Are there any other comments? Ken?
Thank you, Mayor. Ken Olszewski of Sayreville. Pilots, what the last speaker talked about. I'm a little bit concerned that with the Trammell Crow pilot, that you've opened the floodgates to every business that comes into town is going to want a pilot. Why wouldn't they? Everybody's going to cry poverty. Oh, yes, this isn't viable without a pilot. We heard from the owner of this one time before. Well, you know, they can't make it go. Well, you know, you can't make it go with this use, then you got to look for another use. It's not our duty to bail out everybody that made a bad decision, nor is it our duty to give everyone a pilot to scam the taxpayer, because that's what you're doing. You're skimming right off the top for the taxpayer. And of course, you're taking it away from the school. The school is a little bit different issue because, you know, we're going to pay the money that you don't give the school. The taxpayers are just going to pay more for school tax. That's not going to be a different deal. And I heard the last time you talked about pilots when you had experts in here for Trammell Crow. I love the fact when they talked about, well, we don't need any school money for warehouses because they don't impact the schools. Well, you know what? Neither do senior citizens impact the schools. Are you going to take away the school tax from senior citizens? Is that what you're going to do? That would be a great idea. If you take it away from billion-dollar corporations and everybody else comes into town. How about the seniors? Do you have any regard for them? Or is it just for people who you want to take care of? Friends and other people you want to take care of. Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Being no other, yes.
Anthony Sposato, Washington Road. As one of, I believe, 3 people that did sit on that side of the dais during the planning board meeting when this application came before us for review and approval, it wouldn't have come before us that they were in need of a pilot. Not on that board. It would have come before other entities. As a dad of an 8-year-old here in the district who would love to see more money flowing into our schools, who understands the direct correlation between better and more smartly funded schools allowing and empowering our kids to succeed. As someone that ran a failed Board of Education campaign on that, I have to urge you to reject the pilot. This is not a necessary use of a pilot. There are absolutely moments where pilots are appropriate. This is not one of them. The application that came before us on the planning board was thorough and ticked every box, and accordingly, I voted to advance and approve that because that's our responsibility as a planning board, not to vote on what we'd like to see in town, not to vote on what we think should or should not be in town. The residents don't understand that as well as I hope that they would sometimes. When an application becomes the planning board, you are checking boxes, and if they're checked, you advance. From this side of the dais now, as a dad and as a community member, I'm asking you to reject the issuance of a pilot for this specific applicant and to take a harder look at the ways in which we use the pilot program to incentivize businesses to set up shop here long-term. Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Being no other comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call?
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balca.
No.
Polisi.
Yes.
Enoha.
Yep. Before I vote on this, I want to add a couple comments as well. You know, overall, we've been discussing this for over a year, as many of you pointed out. And ultimately, as we've had the privilege of discussing this matter with many economic experts, you know, within the borough and beyond, it does sound like the need is not necessarily for self-storage facility, especially as we have one not far away, but rather we might need more mixed-use facilities or some type of educational facilities or recreational facilities, community facilities. Those are more warranted for, you know, our economic pilots, not necessarily self-storage. So, you know, we do want to express, I think, as a government overall, that we appreciate the interest, but that doesn't necessarily hit the need from what we've gathered from our residents and experts on this topic. And that's why I'm voting no for this. Thank you.
Narski.
Voting yes, but I got an explanation also. I feel that before the jug handle was put in there next to the first aid area, it was a very viable, It was a very viable place to have some kind of business. But now with the jug handle that's in there, half the property's not even usable. I don't feel you can have a large scale business in there to be profitable. So I'm voting yes for the pilot.
Dabrowski.
Yes. Okay. New business?
Appointment.
Oh, I'm sorry, appointments. Yep, I have an opening on Sarah, and I am going to appoint to an unexpired 5-year term, Trushar Parikh.
Need a motion to accept the recommendation?
Make a motion to accept the recommendation.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Roll call?
Councilperson Roberts.
Yes.
Balca.
Yes.
Khaleesi.
Yes.
Noha.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski. Yes. New business. I would like to report that I received the supplemental debt statement from CFO Denise Biancomano as of July 15th, 2024. Motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balca.
Yes.
Khaleesi.
Yes.
Noha. Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski. Yes. Introduction of the following ordinances. Bond ordinance number 34-24, bond ordinance providing for acquisition of various vehicles and equipment by and the Borough of Saraville in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $3,360,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $3,192,000 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof.
Councilman Balca?
I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on 8/19/2024.
There a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Balca.
Yes.
Khaleesi.
Yes.
Noha. Roberts.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski. Bond ordinance number 35-24, bond ordinance providing for various 2024 general capital improvements by and in the Borough of Saraville in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $1,780,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,691,000 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof.
Councilman Belka,
Move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on 8/19/2024.
Second.
roll call.
Councilpersons Balca.
Yes.
Halisi.
yes,
Noha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Dabrowski. Bond ordinance number 36-24, bond ordinance providing for various park improvements by and in the borough of Saraville in the county of Middlesex, state of New Jersey, appropriating $720,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $684,000 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof.
Councilman Belka,
Move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on 8/19/2024.
Second.
roll call.
Councilpersons Balca.
Yes.
Halisi.
yes,
Noha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Dabrowski. Bond ordinance number 37-24, bond ordinance providing for various roadway improvements by and in the borough of Saraville in the county of Middlesex, state of New Jersey, appropriating $6,500,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $6,175,000 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof.
Councilman Belka,
Move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on 8/19/2024.
Second.
roll call.
Councilpersons Balca.
Yes.
Halisi.
yes,
Noha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski. Ordinance number 38-24, bond ordinance providing for various water utility improvements by and in the borough of Saraville in the county of Middlesex, state of New Jersey, appropriating $7,635,000. Therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $7,635,000 in bonds or notes to finance the cost thereof.
Councilman Belka,
Move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on 8/19/2024.
Second.
roll call.
Councilpersons Balca.
Yes.
Halisi.
yes,
Noha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Dabrowski.
Resolutions. This time, I'm going to open the public portion for comments on resolutions. Are there any comments? Frank?
Good evening, Frank Terzino, 32 Canal Street, Saraville, New Jersey, President, Saraville Historical Society. We appreciate this, preparing a resolution, took a lot of work with the whereases and pursuants and stuff. But it does not reflect the request of the Saraville Historical Society to designate the old firehouse as a local historic landmark. Nor was it brought to our attention by putting a dollar figure of $3 million, which we feel is, I didn't see the report. I was supposed to hear reports and I got nothing from you guys. I did not see the reports. There was no consultation. There were no updates. I wasn't kept in a loop. I didn't see the referendum till Friday. So that's, and the way it was worded, it's just deceptive. You're decepting. You did a bad thing here. It's not what we requested. We don't want any money. Told you for over a year now, we don't want your money at all. We need a designation. That's all we requested. And you turn this into an adversarial thing, and I don't like it. Nobody should like it. But you're pitting people together that it's just wrong. You guys did a bad thing. I'm sorry. I love you all guys. I respect everybody. But this decision is wrong, and you all know it, that it's wrong. It might be too late to change the wording, but I'm requesting to change the wording as requested last year, March 11th, and you told me you'd work together, we communicate, got nothing. After the election, we talked to each and every one of you, as one of our staff did. Oh yeah, we even got a hell yeah from one of you guys. I'm not going to say who. And here we are. You set us up for failure. That's not how you're supposed to work with people. And I feel this is wrong. We were used. We pushed aside. You guys did a bad thing. I'm sorry. No other way to say it. And really don't respect this at all. Now, you got a historical building, and some people say it's not historic because I wasn't born in this town, but it is historic. It has historic value. It has educational. Our children, we teach, we bring to our museum. We show them the photographs, and they say how cool they are. And it can be used for anything, like we told you before. It could be a TV station. It could be a community center. a whole host of things we could do with that building. You should be proud of this. You know, Woodbridge just did a great thing. They got their first museum. Metuchen got a grant for their cemetery. All these leaders are doing things. You guys are just sitting there like it's nothing. So need to rethink this, and I hope you look at changing that wording. And I want to requesting to be in a loop. You know, you just push me aside like I'm nothing. And you're kind of losing my respect a little bit. But I'm a patriot, and this is my town, and that's just the way it is. So I would rethink this ordinance resolution because it's wrong, and you all know it's wrong. Thank you.
Jim?
Resolution on Parlin Section 1 redevelopment, $1 million for community benefit. What will that money be used for?
Glenn?
I'm sorry, I can't hear the administrator, and you stop the clock while he's answering? Okay.
It'll be rolled into the funding for the UST complex to get that project started.
For the what complex?
UST, UST.
Okay, thank you very much. The item that Frank just spoke about, the non-binding referendum on the old Borough Hall, that's not what the dedicated volunteers of the Historical Society requested. That's not what was promised in good faith. That's not good faith to do that referendum the way it's worded. That's not what was discussed publicly at a council meeting here that I attended and other members of the public attended. This is very non-transparent, and we see what you're doing here. And saddest of all, it is not surprising. Saddest of all, this kind of conduct from this mayor and council is not surprising. When dedicated volunteers who love their community and want to preserve its history they put in time, effort, and energy, and they recommended a historic designation. They didn't ask for money. They asked for a historic designation so that they could apply for federal and state grants and not cost the borough a dime. Why would this governing body instead put a referendum asking if local taxpayer money should be used when grant money is available? Well, you don't have to answer that. We know why. We know why you want this to fail. Will there be a public referendum when the borough wants to build a new public works garage? Will there be a public referendum on the $7 million for the 2 ball fields at the UST complex? There was no public referendum on the pilots you just awarded. And we know why. We know why. Because the public, given the opportunity to vote on a properly worded referendum, would say yes to preserving that firehouse, yes to preserving that Borough Hall, and no to the pilots that this mayor and council awards like candy. I hope that, as Frank suggested, this is amended. This is only first reading. You can amend it to do what they asked for, and you can amend it to do what you said, what you promised you would do. I sat here. I heard you say that you would reach out. You would work with the Historical Society on the wording. You lied. You lied. Once again, you lied. Thank you for your time.
Any other? Ken?
Ken Olszewski, Sayreville, 2024-191. I believe Frank said a few minutes ago that he's lost faith in you people. Well, so have I. I lost it a little while ago. I lost it when you gave Trammell Crow, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, a pilot which was going to give them a tax break of over $100 million from the people of Sayreville, and you didn't have a referendum on it. I lost faith when you eliminated Zoom meetings. Zoom meetings, who do you hurt by that? You hurt the weakest of the community. You hurt the old, you hurt the sick, you hurt the handicapped. You just eliminated them January 1st. You didn't have a pilot on eliminating Zoom meetings, did you? You didn't have a pilot on reducing the amount of speaking time that you did you? There's no referendum on that. No referendum on the Zoom meetings. Was there a referendum? I don't recall a referendum, Mayor, on the chiefs of staff that you've appointed, 2 or 3 or however many it is. I don't even know if you appointed them legitimately. I think you talked about them as clerk typists. There was no referendum on that, was there? It's quite interesting that you want to hurt the people of the town, the people who are on this commission, Frank, and the people who are members of this commission board. They're people of the town and have generally been around. They have an interest in the town. They've seen what's happened in the town. They're interested in preserving the heritage, and just like was done at the building, which is now the Historical Society. That was a building. That building was older than the building next door. And look what that's turned out to. It's a nice building. It's a show place for the people of town, and it honors and respects the heritage of the town. That's all we're trying to do here. And yes, you have lied. I was at these meetings when you said you're going to give them an opportunity for input in this, and you haven't done it, have you? No. The only thing that you want to pay attention to is when people come in that are well-connected and have money, and you can give free money away from the treasury of this town, which is our taxpayers' money. I think everybody is catching on to you folks. Yeah, you got 1 or 2 people here who we have respect for because they don't say I to anything on the agenda. But the rest of you, everybody is catching on to you. It's a shame what's happened here. Matter of fact, it's pathetic.
Are there any other comments? Arthur?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Arthur Rittenhouse, 33 Delacat Lane in Sayreville. I just want to echo what our President Frank Terzino mentioned, but also some other things. We never received the report. We never included in drawing up this. We still have not seen the report on how they determined $3 million. One, that amount shouldn't be on there. Do we know if the attorney even checked with places such as Preservation New Jersey, which has all of the sources that they could see where grants could become? When this council turned down declaring it as a local historic site, that stopped us from even doing prep work to try and apply for grants. There are many grants out there. We also have a lot of people in town who are willing to contribute to do it. So a couple of things I would ask is that if you pass this tonight, that you also commit to starting that project as soon as the election is over, and see if you have the guts to do that. We could then start on November 6th, and I'd also like you to reactivate that locating us or designating us as a local historic landmark, because we could then start tomorrow applying for grants, which usually take 6 months to a year or longer. So if the referendum fails, then we just tell the people we don't want the grant. But if it passes, we would have money within 6 months to a year to help build this. And again, we have never asked this council for any money on this project. And Mayor, in 2018, I sent you a letter that the Historical Society and the Executive Board voted in favor of making that a historic site and working on it, and you agreed with us. And we've done several presentations here in the past, and the councils have agreed on it. Now you don't, and we don't understand why that happened. You know, it's important to keep the history. Councilman Zabrowski wants to make the downtown. What better than to have a historic building? You can go to thousands of towns in the United States and go in there and they have historic buildings, but they also have offices or shops or something else, and you can go there. One of the big draws of this is the original jail downstairs, which, by the way, was used in October by our police department. So I guess maybe you don't care if the police department goes into a building that's not safe, or is it safe for them, but not safe for the public? Thank you.
Any other comments? Anthony?
Anthony Sposato, Sayreville. I wanted to kind of pull back the veil a bit. We're a family that's been blessed by adoption. We've adopted our son, who is now 8 years old, in the Wilson School District, and he is on the beach in California right now and does not send his best. He's happy where he is. We learned really early on here in the borough that storytelling really does matter. I'm from a really small farm town in the Catskills in upstate New York, and after we had moved away, one of my first apartments was here in Sayreville and Windingwood, and my sister called me. She was walking our dog in the West Branch of the Delaware River, and she stepped on a brick and pulled it out of the water, and it was a Sayreville brick, and I didn't really know why that was special. And I took the time and I went to the Historical Society, and Mr. Rittenhouse talked with me for probably 3 hours and talked to me a lot about the history of the borough and what makes this place really, really special. And I can't thank him enough for that. You have heard a recurring theme when I've come up to the podium of wanting to feel a part of something. And Mr. Rittenhouse and what the Historical Society does for our borough certainly helps us all feel connected. And I'm compelled to ask you to reconsider. This is a small thing. You are hearing from residents who are very affected by this. This is a small thing to push pause on and get it right and not get it fast. You are being trusted with public service to do the right thing. And I have to believe that when this borough was being built, that dialogue and conversation and open ears and open hearts were part of it, or we would not have advanced in the ways that we have in this borough. I know that there is a sitting member of our Board of Education that has reached out to our council and talked about those small moments where it's a just do the right thing moment. The theme of divisiveness that seems to be coming from our residents, that there seems to be an adversarial conversation that feels put upon the residents. I have felt that way. I have felt that way, Mayor, and I'm sure that comes as no surprise to you. But we don't have to do that. Pause. 2024-191. Get it right. Meet with the people that are telling you they want to talk to you. My God, if there are 19, 18 people watching, the people who have shown up that are still able to come and participate want to participate in the process. I encourage you to meet them where they are. That is your job. It's our job to tell you what we think and what we feel for the betterment of a borough that we love. Your job is to listen and take it under advisement. Do the right thing when you are given small moments to do the right thing. This is one of them. So again, thank you to the men and women who staff the Historical Society. My family looks forward to seeing them at every single outing that Sayreville puts on. And I hope that the Borough Council and the Mayor can do the right thing here and come back to that table with open ears. Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Bob?
Bob Egan, Elizabeth Street. I was here the night when the Historical Society made the presentation, and they weren't looking for money, but it was all twisted around. So just like everybody, I'm coming up and saying the same thing, that you should forget about this and let it go. We have no problems. Thank God Notre Dame wasn't in Sayreville and burned, because we'd be putting that on a referendum to restore it. You know, Europe wants to keep all their buildings and try and maintain a historic site. And here in New Jersey, the United States, knock it down and put up a warehouse or something. You know, I didn't take up too much time because I know that, you want to keep it short and I didn't have anything better to do than come here tonight. Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Being no other comments, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
I move the public hearing be closed and the consent agenda resolutions be approved on roll call vote.
Is there a second? Roll call?
Councilpersons Roberts,
Yes.
Falca,
Vote no on 2024-191, yes on all others.
Polisi,
Yes.
Enoha,
I have a comment for 191, if possible. I do want to take a moment to express regards for those who serve in our committees here in the borough. Anyone who is an expert in any field or just puts out hard work and volunteers their time. I think that it's important that as a government, we should recognize that. We should always see how we can work with you in unity to provide the best service to our residents. For what I'm hearing, it seems like you don't think that was expressed in 191, and you would like for us to really improve on it so we can be in unity together. I think that's the best proposition for this moving forward. So that's why I'm voting no for 191 right now. Yes for everything else. Thank you.
Sinarski,
I'm voting yes, but I think we did things in a timely manner. We're up against a wall to get this on the ballot for the vote. We just got the report on how much it's going to cost to fix, and you can't get a grant for something unless you're going to know how much it's going to cost. And as far as I know, the biggest grant in the United States was 1.some million for the entire country. That was the only one that reached that. Somebody please prove to me that these grants aren't matched 50%, 100% by the borough. I can't see the borough funding this building at this point. That's why we're putting it on a ballot. I'm sorry.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Okay.
A motion to accept the correspondence as listed.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Roberts, Falca,
Yes.
Polisi,
Yes.
Enoha,
Yes.
Sinarski,
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
A report to Mayor and Council, Administration and Finance, Councilman Balka.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a warning that the tax bills will be going out any day now, so watch your mail. Other than that, progress.
Okay, Planning and Zoning, Councilman Zabrowski.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to take just a very brief moment to thank our rec staff as well as all our borough employees for the great work they did for Independence Day festivities and fireworks, including our volunteers as well. Our planning board is meeting on Wednesday, July 17th. It is at the Active Adult Center at 7:30. This is a continuing testimony on the application for the mosque. In addition, the first meeting in August, which is August 7th, we're having a presentation by Hire Gruel on our master plan reassessment, which it has been due. And all the borough is welcome to be present. Sarah, excuse me, Sarah is meeting at 6 o'clock this Thursday. We're holding a workshop from 6 to 6:30, which will be continuing the discussion on the downtown vision, as well as a brief discussion on other issues related to zoning in the borough. And Mayor, that's my report.
Thank you. Public Safety, Councilman Enoho.
Thank you, esteemed Mayor. Overall, no cognitive or, supporting progress report now, but a message to, of course, our residents that, we're still more than interested to being a sponge and taking in any ideas you have, even as we try to implement our own as well. Thank you. Oh, in addition to that.
Okay, Public Works, Councilman Kalasi. Okay.
Progress, Mayor.
Okay, Recreation, Councilman Sinarski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Independence Day celebration went off before the rain. I want to thank everybody that attended and all the people that worked on the Recreation Department to get that to fly. There's also going to be a scavenger hunt in Saraville that's going to be done at the parks. The parks website will give you all the information on that if necessary. We need some adult volunteers. We're trying to do something for teens at night. There's been some requests to have some kind of teen center or something to do for a certain age group of teens. So we need adult volunteers to get in touch with the Recreation Department. We need like 5 ladies or men that would help to chaperone the chaperone the teens at the Burks Park. I believe that's where we're going to have it. They still have the car shows. Our next one's coming up at the 24th of July at Kennedy Park. It seems like that's rolling off pretty good. There's a lot of people coming for that. And the farmer's market's still running on every Thursday, which is getting bigger, actually. That's fine. End of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Water and Sewer Council President.
Well, if you've walked past our community garden lately, it's very full and lush and beautiful. So congratulations to the gardeners. And I also had the opportunity to attend the farmer's market, which was well attended while I was there. It was hot. There was a lot of interest in the vendors that were there. So I picked up myself some corn and some chicken tikka masala sauce while I was there, and I'm looking forward to that. And I just want to share, Mayor, that you know that I go out into the community, and some of the other council members do regularly, offer ourselves to listen to the community on what's on their minds, and also share where we stand and the research that we've done on the different topics. We are available to the community that way. I hope you do reach out to us so that we can have a common understanding, because there seems to be some things we can talk about more deeply rather than at a council meeting. So I would invite anyone to attend the pre-council meetings or reach out to us to discuss that more thoroughly. I think that's what I'd like to say. We are here for the people, to listen to everyone.
Thank you, Council President. Okay, general discussion items, Administration and Finance, Glenn.
Authorization for the business administrator to negotiate a new contract with Legacy Riding Stables.
Any objections? Next item.
Authorization to join the Interlocal Purchasing System, a national cooperative purchasing program.
Any issues? Next item.
Request received to hold a block party from the residents of Pine Tree Drive between Cypress Drive and Buttonwood Drive on August 31st, rain date September 1st, from 9 a.m. to 12 midnight.
Any objections? Next item.
Authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to Papco Industries for the purchase of leaf bags in an amount not to exceed $20,923.20.
Any objection?
And authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to Keystone Precision Solutions for the purchase of a GPS unit in an amount not to exceed $17,608.
Any objection? Next, Business Administrators Report.
Authorization to appoint Matthew McCardle to Laborer 1 in the Department of Public Works effective September 1st.
Any objection? Next item.
Authorization to appoint Thomas Brennan, John Palermo Jr., and Clinton Rowe to police officer positions in the police department effective July 29th, pending the completion of all pre-employment requirements.
Any objections? Next item.
Authorization to appoint Leslie Ann Palanco to Record Support Technician 1, part-time in the police department effective August 1st.
Any objection? CFO's.
I have one add-on, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Looking for authorization to allow the Cultural Arts Committee to move forward in engaging musical acts for their Tuesday night music in Kennedy Park, effective next Tuesday, and to submit bills for payment based on their budget.
Any objection? Okay, CFO report.
Authorization to amend the 2024 local municipal budget for the following: Safe and Secure Communities Grant, the amount of $44,150. Opioid settlement, $16,061.24. Residential maintenance service, $6,500 with a match of $2,000, and a Sarah donation of $100,000. And one other item, authorization to sell bonds. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions? Any objections? Okay. Borough Engineers report.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 items. The Golden Age Development, which is located on Gondak Drive, recommending a release of their bond, subject to posting a maintenance bond, as well as a supplemental bond for Jersey Central lighting that remains to be installed. And second item, we're receiving bids before the next meeting for your next phase of road improvements. If everything's in order, resolution awarding that contract. Thank you.
Borough Attorney's report. Okay, a public portion. Any comments? Jim?
First, I want to compliment who's ever responsible for the scavenger hunt, the new program. I think it's a great idea. I appreciate that. Mayor, one day last week, I got 2 calls within about 10 minutes. Apparently, you had sent out an email that had the wrong time and place for the planning board meeting on the mosque application. Was that deliberate? Was that just incompetence? Was that, how did that happen? And did you read that email before it went out under your signature?
What else you got, Jim?
There was an email that went out from you, Mayor, with the wrong time and place for the mosque application. Went out under your signature. Did you read that? Was that intentional or was that a mistake?
This is for comments, Jim, so make your comments.
Okay. All right. I'll talk about the other things that we saw on Facebook. There are a lot of things about sharks lately. I didn't think that was a big problem in this town. Eating habits of sharks, reproduction habits of sharks. There's also been some misleading information about the history of the borough. And I know that the Historical Society sent an email or actually posted a comment trying to correct some of that information. That comment was deleted and then comments were turned off. Now, I'm not so sure that that's appropriate. I asked for a copy, Mayor. You said you need anything, call the Borough Hall between 8 and 4 and we'll get you anything you want. I asked for a copy of the social media policy to see if it's appropriate to delete comments from the public, from the Historical Society, no less, who knows a little bit about the history of the town, and then to shut off comments. And I was told when I sent the email to your office, Mayor, I have to Oprah that. So I'll Oprah that. And Matt, it's interesting. You and I have a very good mutual friend in the legal profession, and he told me he doesn't think the borough's on very firm ground with deleting comments and shutting down comments. And he said that the ACLU has an interest in these things. So might have to look into that. I'll wait till I see the policy. I want to make sure, Counselor, that you're aware of that they are deleting comments and shutting down comments, and you're comfortable with that. Okay. The JCP&L, as you know, on River Road, that facility was once responsible for $20 million in gross receipts taxes to the borough. We had no tax rate at one time because of that. It has been shuttered. It's going to be dismantled. It is very valuable riverfront property. I don't know if you've ever been in there, but it's beautiful. It's tiled inside. It's really amazing. Are there plans for it? Has the planning board taken a look at that very valuable property? I mean, this is something that truly fits the definition of an area in need of redevelopment that ought to be redeveloped. I mean, look what they did in, Mayor, your friend John McCormick from Woodbridge. Look at what he did at the Tiki Bar over there at the shore. Has anybody,
Jim.
has Sarah taken a look at this?
Thank you, Jim.
I'm sorry?
3 minutes.
5 minutes, it says, Mayor.
3.
No, 5 minutes it says, and the ordinance that was passed talks about public hearings, not the public portion. And that question was asked.
Thank you,
So
Jim.
has anybody taken a look
Thank you, Jim.
at that very valuable property?
Thank you,
Sarah,
Jim.
the planning board, anybody? Mayor, it says 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Mayor, the agenda says 5 minutes.
There's a typo in it.
And the ordinance says public hearings, not the public portion.
Is it 5 minutes, Jim?
5 minutes is what, Mayor, I know you don't read a lot of things, but if you read the agenda, it says 5 minutes. I'll try and be quick. I do want an answer to that question. That's very valuable property. We should do, I'm not surprised that nobody's thought about it. Looking around here and looking at Sarah and the planning board, I'm not surprised, but in all sincerity, you should take a look at that. That is very valuable. We can do good things there for the borough and truly help our economic development situation. And the last round of affordable housing was a debacle, as we know.
Thank you, Jim.
I want to tell you this.
Your 5 minutes is up.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
not. Are we
Thank you.
preparing for the next round? Because I've been in touch with people in Trenton who tell me that our affordable housing obligation may take into account the warehouses on Cheesequake Road. Because if anybody knows the genesis of the Mount Laurel decision, it has to do with jobs and not housing for those jobs.
We're past 5 minutes, Jim.
I'm
Thank
sorry?
you. Thank you for your contribution.
No, it hasn't been 5 minutes, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'll have to communicate some other way because you don't have an interest. You who screwed up the affordable housing situation, you who are the reason that we're building thousands of
Thank you,
apartments,
Jim.
doesn't want to
Have
pay
a-
attention.
have
You're a
a seat.
disgrace.
Have a seat, Jim. Are there any other comments? Anthony, I'll get to you. It's 3 minutes.
No, it's 5.
There was
Sorry.
there was a typo.
typo.
It's 5 minutes.
No, Jim,
The ordinance says public hearings, not public portion that you passed.
if you
This is
want
the
to
public
argue, you don't have
portion.
to speak. It's
It
3
is
minutes.
5 minutes, according to your agenda.
3 minutes.
The ordinance says 5 minutes.
3 minutes.
Does anyone here have the ordinance?
Go ahead. Anthony, go ahead. We're not going to stand here all night. It's
All right,
3
with
minutes.
respect to the mayor's bedtime and the efficiency with which we conduct these meetings, my responsibility in coming up and speaking previously about the issues that I have last month have been to engage in a good faith dialogue with our community. Mayor, yours have not been. I have asked our residents, many of whom have said they do not have objection to the LGBTQ plus community. Councilwoman Roberts, I'm sure Council President Roberts, I apologize. Many of you have shared the same thing. The veterans that you solicited to attend last meeting, Mayor, said the same thing. Nothing against the LGBTQ plus community, just against the flying of any other flag besides their flags out front. I support that. I have listened and am willing to compromise. Moving forward, we would like to, as a community, make better usage of the flagpole that is being provided. To provide a community flagpole at no expense to the borough, Council President Roberts, I would like to take you on your invitation to have a conversation about the ways that we can work together. I have asked for resident opinions about places that Polish heritage flags could fly, or any other flag that you may decide that you are going to vote on as a borough council per your flag flying policy that you enacted in March. There are residents who are interested in flags in various locations around the borough, primarily, and it's all memorialized. I prefer to have the conversation in the public purview versus a private committee. A suggestion was the grassy area between Woodside and Ernston Road that gets tons of visibility. A resident said, this is a great idea. We used to light a tree there during the holidays. So much visibility. That's a great place. So in a month like May, which I have asked you to proclaim as Military Appreciation Month, Mayor, and I hope that you will, our veterans and our active service members could gather at that location. This is a difficult place to be seen for folks passing by. A military appreciation flag, similar to the one that you had removed out front, the Killed in Action World War I flag, could be flown there each May. I would love to have my son attend a gathering of our active and veterans to celebrate their service, to be able to see and learn together as a community. That is the thrust of what a flag is representative of. It is representing a community, and I believe that as I have taken the time to learn about other residents who are unlike me in the borough, it gives all of us an opportunity together. There was another suggestion. Kennedy Park, by those beautifully painted buildings, would be a great spot for a community flagpole. In fact, the artist who painted those walls said that she 1000% agrees. So knowing that there is genuine interest, Mayor, and knowing that you spoke to the press and said that you did believe that things like Pride Month should be celebrated respectfully, though you yourself didn't acknowledge it as a month or proclaim it as such in the borough, or engage in conversation with me about ways in which to celebrate it. There are other months that residents also feel strongly about, as I do, Pride Month in June. So I would like to know if there is a willingness for the borough to engage in a conversation so that we can fund independently at no taxpayer cost a community flagpole which gives visibility and representation to those who seek it. Is there an appetite for someone that has been entrusted with the public's vote? Is there an appetite to have that conversation and to, in good faith, in the public eye, invite residents to talk about a location?
Thank you, Anthony.
Well, I've asked a question. I'm just looking for any kind of an
You
answer,
make a
Mayor.
comment, and then we'll get back to you. Thank you.
When will you get back to me?
I don't know, but thank you for your comment. Helen? Oh, sorry, Heather.
Good evening, everyone. Heather Posky, 71 Zaleski. I stand before you today to address a concerning trend of misinformation and historically inaccurate information being shared with the Sayreville residents. This issue is compounded by the fact that the Sayreville Historical Society has not been consulted or contacted to help validate or provide accurate information. Let me highlight some specific examples that illustrate this problem. On May 9th, 2024, there was a post referring to the history of the Old Spy Inn as Sayreville's fairy tale. The history includes the hanging of Abe Musi, a significant historical event, but was presented in a way that trivialized and misrepresented our history. On May 28th, that same Facebook page, a post incorrectly stated the date for the Juggernaut video as 1914, instead of April 19th, 1915. The series indeed did start in 1914. It is essential to get these dates right to honor our past accurately. Then on July 3rd, it was mentioned that Sayreville built its first high school in 1939. In reality, Wilson School was built in 1930 and later expanded in 1939. This kind of inaccuracy misrepresents our community's educational history. Additionally, 2 posts lack crucial information. The June 5th post discussed the production of bricks, but failed to mention Sayer and Fisher Brick Company by name. Given many brick producers in the area, this omission is significant as our great borough is named after the Sayer family. The July 10th post about Liberty Theater's opening in 1919 omitted the actual opening date and the construction costs of $100,000. These details are vital for a complete and accurate historical record. This is vital to stress that the Sayreville Historical Society has not been contacted or consulted regarding any of these posts. Moreover, since the Facebook page doesn't allow comments, we are unable to provide corrections or additional information to help ensure accuracy. There are also some grammar mistakes in these posts. A suggestion would be to have someone proofread and fact-check them before they are published. This would not only enhance the credibility of the information, but also honor the rich history of Sayreville correctly. In closing, I urge those responsible for sharing our borough's history to collaborate with the Sayreville Historical Society. Together, we can ensure that our community receives accurate, well-researched, and respected representations of our past. I wanted to also gift the mayor and council a copy of Our Town that I personally purchased in hopes that it will make it to the person who is creating these posts. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
Are there any other comments? Being no other comments, I'll make a motion, or take a motion.
Make a motion to close the public portion.
Is there a second? Roll call. Aye,
Aye.
opposed. Thank you, everyone.
Make a motion to close, motion
Motion.
to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Okay.